Hi, everybody. This is Frank Clifford, and welcome to another Astrologer Frank Answers, an opportunity for me to answer some of your questions about your own chart or about astrology in general. Now, the question I have today is from Kyla, and it's about the Sun-Venus conjunction in her natal chart. Let's take a look at it. Okay. So we can see here that the Sun, Venus are very closely conjunct in the sky. In the sign of Gemini, Venus is retrograde, and they're in the 9th house as well. Okay, so what might that mean? Well, first of all, Kyla, this chart is a very mercurial one in its own way. We have the Sun in Gemini plus 2 other planets. We have the Moon in Virgo. So both Gemini and Virgo are said to be ruled by Mercury. And we also have Mercury angular, meaning it's bang on the midheaven here as well. So the life of a eternal student, questing, searching, always wanting to learn, to ask why, to experience life, to dissect it, to bring people together, to bring ideas together. This is the key to a mercurial person's life. Now, you asked about the Sun Venus. You said, uh, can I share any thoughts about how to understand tight conjunctions like this? Now, when you're looking at the sky, as the ancients did, and they were casting the charts for the king's questions or the monarch's needs, or they were looking to elect the best time to go to war or to launch something, they would be very aware of planets that were really hidden by the sun. And there are many different terms for it, and astrologers may argue sometimes about how close a planet needs to be in order to be combust or cazimi. But in modern astrology, I'm not sure whether that has much sway really when it comes to human nature. It's very useful in understanding uh, how visible planets are in the sky when we're looking at mundane day-to-day events. As I always say, in a natal chart, you have a lifetime to work on, to work through, to work out your planetary positions. And when planets are conjunct, the energies are merged. The conjunction becomes a focal point of the chart. It becomes a powerful area to focus on. And Sun with Venus together means really the importance of relating, the importance of being the bridge builder. Now, Gemini is very talented in taking bits and pieces from everywhere and turning it into an erudite, eclectic mix or philosophy of something. And it may be a very simple philosophy, because what Gemini's talent really is to take something complex and make it bite-sized, make it easily digestible and understood by people. Gemini is also very good at saying, well, you can try it on in this way, or on the other hand, you can do it a different way. And so Gemini is very good at saying there are alternatives here. Look at something else. Look at another way of doing it. It's skeptical in that way. It doubts. And so it's very good at providing options. And so this all wraps up in your chart with the Sun and Venus. And any planet that's conjunct the Sun, yes, I would say, rather than the other way around, I don't think it's hidden by the Sun in your nature, but it forms a unity. It becomes in unison with the Sun. And Sun Venus people are often choose unusual ways of having relationships. Maybe freedom is extremely important. Their own needs, getting in touch with what they desire, is going to be paramount in some ways. Gemini is blessed and cursed sometimes with the idea of comparison, and always looking at what other people have, comparing it, working it out, analyzing things. And certainly that Moon in Virgo can be very self-critical and quite a harsh critic of one's actions and behaviors over the years. But if we come back to the Sun Venus, we've got a love of language. when it's formed in Gemini here. We've got a great interest in always wanting to ask why, to discover something new, to go on new journeys, to be inspired, to be reading more, learning more, talking more, conversing more. So at the heart of the sun lies Venus. And what that suggests is that that core principle of Venus, that need to understand the key to relating, the key to self-love, is going to be paramount. And thinking of self-love, not only are Sun-Venus people bridge builders and sometimes people pleasers, the real journey of the Sun-Venus is to put themselves first and be focused on intrapersonal love and self-love, self-regard, being focused on putting your happiness at the forefront of your life. So these are all extremely important parts of your chart. And the Sun-Venus also squares Pluto in the chart, adding a level of not only urgency and intensity to it, but also a need to really ask the deep questions of life. So this is a chart that may be fascinated with psychology or behavioral psychology, or exploring how education affects the mind, how IQ tests may be completely inappropriate these days for things. It's about exploring intelligence, exploring ideas, going further, questioning the official word. These are all important factors. Now, some astrologers will say the closer the aspect, meaning the tighter the orb, the stronger the effect is. And I'm not really a fan of that. I really haven't found that to be the case. Often, when planets are extremely close, as they are in your chart with the Sun and Venus, they come together by solar arc direction early. So a method of forecasting that I'm a big fan of, solar arc directions, moves everything forward 1 degree a year. So if you've got a Sun-Venus conjunction that's only about 8 minutes apart, that's going to happen within the first few months of your life. So it'd be interesting to go back to family diaries or hear what was going on around the time of your birth, 2 months before and about 2 months after as well, to get an idea of that. So when planets are very close, they seem to come together by solar arc at a very early age. And often we're not aware of these things. They could be monumental, but we don't have the facility to process them in a way that will help us understand in later life. When they're 5-6 degrees away, we may remember that situation in our lives a little bit better. Still may not have the faculties at that time to process it. So the idea that when planets are very close together, they'll be extremely important doesn't really stand up when it comes to my own research. My attitude is that what you decide to focus on, what other people bring out in you in your chart, is the key to what we make good in our charts, what we do best, what we work on best. We could have a very tight aspect in our chart, like a Sun-Venus, and almost ignore that and focus more on the Libra ascendant or the Moon Saturn in this chart, or the planets in Cancer. We tend to gravitate towards certain parts of our chart, often because of the interactions that we have with other people. And so I hope that Sun-Venus, that self-love, that self-regard is growing and important in your life. But it may not be. Very much depend on what you've experienced early on. What you do want to know about a Sun-Venus conjunction is that they come back in cycles, and you want to be looking at every 8 years of your life: 8, 16, 24, 32, 40, 48, and 56. Now, Kyla, you just turned 50. So have a look at 48 and what that was telling you about how you can be loving yourself, what you're wanting to explore in the world. Maybe you took up a course then, wanting to explore more and ask more questions of the world too. So the 8-year cycle is always interesting to watch when we have a strong Sun-Venus conjunction in the chart. All right, I'm going to leave it there. I hope that helps you to think about those questions. To summarize, I would just say don't worry too much about the closeness of an aspect. When it comes to solar arc directions, when it comes to transits, they obviously get triggered at the same time. So you end up having a double whammy going on that year in your life if Neptune squares it, as it is at the moment, for instance. So it's going to affect both of those areas of your life, of your psyche, of your birth chart at the same time, of course. So that's an important consideration. But natally, I don't think it matters whether they're 0 degrees apart, a few degrees apart, etc. They can still be extremely strong. And remember, the invitation is always there to explore it further. It's just often our relationship patterns tend to push us in one direction of our chart at the expense of another. And that Sun-Venus is a beautiful area of the chart. Forget the idea that planets near the sun can be weakened. This Venusian theme, think about Venus in all of its forms, is something to pursue in your life. And it may be something, because it's in Gemini, to write about as well, to explore in many areas of communication too. Okay, all right. Well, I've done a bit of a Gemini answering that in many different ways in a roundabout way, but I hope you've got something out of that, Kyla, and I hope the rest of you have too. Okay, let's just come back to the main screen. Feel welcome to sign up to londonschoolastrastrology.com. Ask me a question via the website there, the email there, and I'll see you all very soon. Take care of yourself. Bye-bye.